Hey there again, theoretical bullshit. I forgot. Oh man, I forgot your real name. I'm really sorry. I remember you doing the thing earlier, and I figured that your name was Brian, and I don't know why I thought of that. It is the thing at the beginning, but to answer your question, as far as why I am a Christian, in all honesty, a lot of what people, I honestly think that a lot of it depends on your upbringing, your environment, as far as your religion. Um, I will say, when I was young, I before I became a Christian, I usually did think that you died and you went in the grave and that was it. But I thought there's got to be more to that. And I never thought that that was necessarily true, but that was my belief at the time. Later on, I started reading, and I was introduced to all of the books of different religions, and I was able to choose my own, luckily. Um, oh, there's my phone. Okay. Um, my parents never forced any kind of religion on me. They were very, very open-minded as to let me pick my own religion. And I was surprised because in all honesty, the way that they are with Christianity, I would figure they were very strict about it. But when I was young, they didn't press anything on me. I actually pursued it on my own accord. I was very young at the time too. I was probably about 6 or 7 years old, and I wanted to know whether or not there was a God, because it was brought up to me when I was very young. Kids were like, "Oh, there's no God," but "Oh yeah, there's a God," and usually it was what their parents were telling them, and my mom and dad never spoke to me about it, so I felt kind of left out. I actually pursued uh, my religious endeavors, and I looked into different books and tried to figure out what I figured was true and what I figured was false. The first thing I actually delved in was Hinduism. When I looked at Hinduism, I actually kind of it was very appealing to me. I figured that the mind and ignorance being man's main problem was a major thing. But later on, the second thing I started studying was Christianity, and when I looked at that, the Bible just seemed wonderful to me. The idea of Jesus and God, Jesus being graceful and being loving and forgiving, and the fact that he laid down his life for me was something that I figured that was very powerful. I generally get the idea that Hinduism and Buddhism were very impersonal gods. They did not necessarily uh, really care as to what happened with the human race. God and Jesus, on the other hand, did, and they effectively not effect. Well, okay, this is as to whether or not you're a Christian. This is me talking about what it is I believe. It's not necessarily saying that this is true to you. Um, Generally, the idea of God and Jesus really caring about the human race and actively uh, through the timeline and the Jews and stuff, and God being born of the Jews and coming to sacrifice himself, you know, die on the cross for my sins. I figured that was a beautiful thing. Now, that initially drew me to it. That didn't necessarily mean I believed in it at the time. Later on, I accepted God as my Savior at the age of 6, which I will figure out later on that my faith in him was not necessarily as strong as it should be if I was really saved. So I kind of think that me getting really understanding as to what I believed wasn't until I actually reached puberty, which is around 12 to 13 years old. Not that we need a kind of biology lesson, but the fact was too, around when I got into middle school, I started feeling these same doubts again. So I went into it a little more, and I studied Islam, I studied Mormonism, I studied how Jehovah's Witnesses preach and stuff. And Islam really turned me away. It was very, very negative towards unbelievers, which I don't necessarily understand why. I mean, it seemed kind of like God gives you a choice as to whether or not you will believe in him. But then if you say, no, I'm not going to believe in you, that's your choice. I don't figure that you should be, you know, oh, you're going, burn in hell, we're going to kill you and stuff like that. And in all honesty, like, Islam kind of gave that vibe to me. Now, I learned later on that's not necessarily true with Islam. Islam usually is very, very defensive as far as the unbelievers. You know, uh, like persecution is worse than slaughter is what's taught in the Quran. Anyone that decides they're going to talk bad about you, that's like them killing you, basically. That's killing you inside. I'm taught in the Bible that I am to turn the other cheek. And if they decide they want to persecute me and do that all they want, let them do it. And in fact, this is America. They can do what they want. So basically the laws of my country correspond with my religious beliefs, which is usually not the case with some people. I'm just lucky to be able to have that, where my religious beliefs don't necessarily quarrel with the laws of my land. But I also understand too in the Bible, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and give unto God what is God's. I won't necessarily turn away from religion just because my country asks me to. So that is something that I feel that I may be confronted with later on. But in all honesty, the main reason why I became a Christian was because, in all honesty, I look at it and I don't think that there's anything logically wrong with it. I oftentimes have, oh boy, I'm really sorry. I might have to cut this video short. I'm getting a lot of responses from somebody. In all honesty, I look at it. I believe in the Bible. I believe in God, and I oftentimes have people try to tell me, "Oh, what you believe in is false." That's not their call. It's my call. I have my own personal responsibility as to find what it is that I believe is religiously correct, and for my own spirituality and spiritual security. I have a responsibility to that. Most people do not take that and do that. It's also like it's very similar to like the civil duty to learn about what's going on in your political life. Not like oh, I need to get involved in politics. No, but know what's going on within the area that you live in. Like know who your governor is, your politicians. Learn about the situations going on where you live. But people don't do that in America nowadays, and it drives me insane. Because it's a constant issue. It's become like Americans have become so ignorant of what goes on in their world sometimes, and it just bothers the hell out of me. It's the same thing with spirituality. So I often find that politics and religion kind of correspond with each other as far as civic duty. Not so much that, oh, you need to do it, but you should at least know something. Don't go and vote because some guy looks better, or don't choose a religion because it's the most efficient way for you or it's easier for you. Hinduism was so much easier to go by than Christianity. But I picked Christianity because I figured that was the truest thing. Because Hinduism actually accepts a lot of different religions as true. And Hinduism has this idea that if you believe in something, that's good. Post-classical Hinduism has actually accepted Islam and Sikhism and all these different religions as okay, they're true. So whatever works for you. But that I figured was too easy. That can't be the case. Because there are wars going on, and if everybody's right, why is it that everybody's killing each other? And it wasn't so much as that I was saying it was wrong because of that, but it didn't seem logical to me. But a lot of people would say that the Bible is not logical, so I stand at a point where I'm in this circular argument where I will never be able to create a point for somebody. But in all honesty, that's honestly why I picked Christianity. I just figured that it was the most logical way, and it was something that, based on my environment that I lived in, which I'm going to go ahead and say to you too, my environment did affect me as far as my religion. The fact is, I figured that man was inherently evil, and that man was not very going to be able to do anything good. I saw the evil in the world. I never saw the good in people. The way I grew up, the way my family was very poor when I was young. My dad got laid off, and this is not a sob story. This is just telling you where I came from. The fact is, I saw a lot of shit when I was young, and I was not shielded. But, you know, that's how I believe. Anyway, I'm tired of people trying to come to me and tell me that I'm wrong. Because I feel that whatever it is that you pick, it's your choice. You should just be left at that. There should be no argument, and people should understand. So, there I go.